This is an excerpt from Small Business School, the series on PBS. Hi, I'm Hattie Bryant. Our mission here is to foster the success of small businesses and those who dream of owning their own business by showing them how others have solved similar business problems, have become even more creative and knowledgeable within their expertise, and have taken very calculated risks to follow their dreams. This is the story of an accidental business. The painter Ken Doan reached for a higher perfection. He stretched for a new aesthetic, and by trying only to please himself, he pleased others and accidentally built a business.
Well, I suppose artists paint because that's what they do to try and communicate to people. And it is a great joy to be confronted by a big blank canvas and to then have the opportunity to put down something. But I want to be a Monday painter, not a Sunday painter. I wanted to be a painter, which I still do. The fact that I've found a way of supporting myself is, just kind of secondary, really.
Ken Doan is Australia's most famous artist. Since 1975, he has painted nearly every day. From his massive body of work has sprung an enterprise that in 2003 employed over 100 people. It has galleries where his paintings are sold, and shops where customers may purchase swimwear, sportswear, and accessories, all designed by the Ken Doan Studios.
These are the new prints for the next summer season we're working on, and all of them would have come out of artworks, paintings or drawings that Ken's done either.
Judy Doan, Ken's wife, applies her fashion design expertise to direct the consumer products division of the company.
And as coordinates, we have an accessory range that works back with the swimwear as well.
To get into the businesses that we're in at the moment was almost accidental in the sense that for my first exhibition, even though I'd been painting all my life, for my first exhibition when I was 40, I made 12 t-shirts to give to the press to remind them of that particular show. And look, they liked them so much that people wanted more. So it's a very straightforward exercise, isn't it? If you make something and it's well priced and people like it, almost inevitably, you realize you can make some more. And in this sense, I'm a painter. That's how I spend all my time. But the concept of repeating the singular effort, or taking one part of a piece of design and multiplying it, is essentially, what business, I suppose, is about. Morning, Eva. I'm not afraid of business, and in fact, I see business in a sense as the most creative act of all. So all coming together all right?
Yeah.
Not too many problems?
No, not really.
To bring together a whole series of disparate things and to make something happen, it's a very, very, very complex task. So I wasn't afraid of business, whereas a lot of painters, I think, have a kind of ambivalent attitude about it and say, well, haven't you sold out? Well, I rather thought I'd sold in the sense that I have immense control over what I do, and the fact that I can be in Australia making paintings and some of those imagery or parts of that image might be happening in other parts of the world. That's the time in which we live. It's fantastic.
More than one art historian has said about Ken Doan that he is influenced by American abstract art and Japanese design. Mix that with the color palette of Australia's stunning sea, sun, and sand, and we gain insight into what we see and how we feel when we look at a Ken Doan work of art.
For a painter, it's like half a conversation. That's what I've said about the Barrier Reef. Now it's up to you, what you really bring to it. Do you like the colours? Do you like the shapes? Do you like the feeling of it? Does it mean anything to you? Will it give you pleasure over a longer period of time? It's half a conversation, that's what art is. this one says postcard from God, and it says, thinking of you always, because if you believe in God, well, you should be thinking of him. And if there is a God, he should be thinking of you. But you see,
What do you think people buy from you?
I hope that they buy things that give them pleasure. If it's a really expensive painting, it has to give them a really lot of pleasure over a really long period of time. If it's a swimming costume, Judy's designed it, hopefully it'll give them pleasure when they wear it to the beach and jump in the water. Okay, show me this one with a solid blue background, please.
Ken Doan spent 16 years in the advertising industry in London, New York, and Sydney.
And now, see if you take this bit of green out and make...
This prepared him uniquely to be an artist who would not starve or deprive his family. Just like all prosperous entrepreneurs, Ken Doan had a gut feeling that he could make an idea work financially.
Save that one. That's good. Very good.
In his case, the idea was that he would make paintings and people would buy them. He would not starve. Prescient about what is nurturing to all of us, Ken Doan's work is beautiful. His subjects are typically nature, and he captures its amazing and never-ending wonder.
When I was a boy growing up in the coast of Australia, my parents and my mother, you had a subscription to the Saturday Evening Post, right? So my first imagery of kind of bright, colourful things, because you have to remember in the 40s in Australia, magazines weren't in colour. I mean, they were still in sepia and black and white. It's going back a long time. I can still smell what it was like to unwrap a Saturday Evening Post coming in from America, smell the ink, and to be confronted with those kind of glossy images and those, say, classic Norman Rockwell covers, very influential in my life.
Like Norman Rockwell, Mr. Doan is a masterful illustrator. In these drawings, you see how he prepares himself to paint nature. This colored pencil drawing on paper of a basket containing shells demonstrates his attention to detail, as does his single shell. It is the artist's disciplining of his own talent to draw this fish just as he caught it, which informs his abstract of fish in this 1993 painting of the Great Barrier Reef titled October Reef.
Somewhere between the brain and the hand is the act of painting. There's all kinds of joys in painting. I mean, there's the quality of the paint itself, there's the mixing of it, there's the physical act of doing it. And always, in a sense, it's about discovery. It's about a particular journey. Even though you might have an idea when you start off, the painting itself will dictate where you're going. I mean, you've got at some point in time, you've got to say, well, that's the feeling of it. That's the feeling of being underwater, or that's the feeling of the coral. Or it has to be something about just that kind of first flick of understanding or of joy when you're under the water. And then over time that you find more and more little beautiful things going on, little fishes swimming around, little beautiful coral, little tiny beautiful creatures.
There is nothing simple about what appears simple. Our experience has been that the person who makes anything look simple is the one who has sacrificed, struggled, and worked the hardest to master his or her own arena.
I have breakfast every morning beside Sydney Harbour, and I have a swim. By like 8 o'clock this morning, I was in the studio working. I've already done 2 hours work this morning. I've had 2 hours play, let's say that. When I finish this, I'll go to my other big studio and I'll work a disciplined day. And of course, it's very difficult to be a painter because you have to do it on your own, you know? It's a very lonely existence being an artist. And I think, my feeling is anyway, you have to be extremely disciplined to do it.
Okay. I was going to ask you if when you're painting, if you're thinking of it as work.
It's the best question so far because, in fact, it's one that I often come up against myself, where I think to myself, I find myself saying, I'm going down to the studio to start work. And like I've got 3 studios, or 3.5 if you count the bloody dining room table. I mean, I'm working everywhere. And so sometimes I'll say to Judy, I'm going out of the studio to work. What I should be saying and reminding myself is, I'm going to the studio to play, not to work.
To make something.
To make something.
And to make the thing that you want to make, and you said it earlier.
Yeah, well look, there's certain deadlines. I mean, exhibitions like I had a big exhibition in London last year, I've got one in Switzerland next year. There are certain imposed deadlines by saying work has to be done at a certain period of time. And as you know, from the paintings, we, or my wife or the kids or the business, we make things. They might take some part of a painting and it becomes a piece of swimwear, or it's on a calendar, or it's on a diary, or it's a poster, or it's something else. Well, I don't do that. That's the other part of the business, but I need to keep working.
To Mr. Doan, painting is his consuming passion, while design is a completely separate thing. His design work is globally ubiquitous, and his paintings are part of important public and private art collections.
I've been asked to do the official poster for the World Cup in Sydney later this year, and the World Cup is the third biggest sporting event in the world after the Olympics and the Soccer World Cup. So, you know, the opportunity is to show images of Sydney in Australia and what a fantastic city it is. And obviously from this poster, we could make and will make some product. So in a sense, it's like art and design working together. We should find art everywhere. It shouldn't necessarily be in art galleries.
Here, others in the studio take his designs and prepare them for many uses.
There's very different stages and very many different versions. And this is something that we've done for quite a few years, and it has really worked well for us. We're selling more swimwear now than ever, so we're very happy about that. And starting to export to the States, which we're even happier about.
Hi Melody, how are you doing? People in the office start at about 8:30 and they finish at 5. I don't expect people, I want them to go home to their families. I don't want people there at night. That's not what I think business is about, nor do I think that's what life's about, nor do I think that's how you get, you know, the most creativity out of people. And these are the flowers. Does this go in a bag or something?
Well, that's a different colourway. You see that's the same flowers.
Judy and Ken married in 1965.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Hello, Danny.
Hi.
What you doing?
And now their children, Camille and Oscar, are bringing fresh ideas to the business.
We have a thing, I have a thing with Oscar and Camilla. It's called the Brazil option. And I said to them when they first came into the business, if you wake up one morning and you think to yourself, I really don't want to go in there today, I'd really like to go to Brazil. Well, then you have to go to Brazil. You have to go. Don't even come in, go to Brazil. You have to want to do it. Now, fortunately, they travel a lot, but their passion, you know, the business is supplying enough creative excitement for them, and also they understand how stupid I am. I mean, they understand that there are lots of things that I'm really, really bad at, and I'm a fantastic delegator, which if you have very narrow abilities, as I have, it's very easy to delegate because it's an absolute necessity.
A few small pieces have come in.
In terms of rolling out the design around the world, do you intend to control all the pieces of it, or would you license your art to a handbag manufacturer or a shoe manufacturer?
Here's what we've done. We have already had 2 very successful licensing arrangements in America. Mm-hmm. One with a company, it started off a small company in Los Angeles. We had a number of shops there. We actually had a shop in San Diego. We had the work in Neiman Marcus, in Bloomingdale's, in Macy's. And that arrangement was good. It was fine. But we started to lose control in a sense that because it was often going into colder parts of America.
Right.
They wanted more winter clothes.
They wanted brown.
They want brown. They said brown's very important in Chicago. So I'm playing golf. I don't care whether brown's important. It wasn't, I'm not putting it down. It's just that America's like this huge ball. It's really, really, really hard to get it rolling. And once it starts to roll, it's got this incredible, and it was just too much for us.
Right.
And the clothing or the stuff wasn't looking exactly like our stuff, right?
Yeah.
So we decided at that point in time, we would cut out all wholesaling and all licensing. And we cut our business by 50%, one hit.
Wow.
Because we couldn't control it.
Okay.
You have to have the passion, first of all, to start something. And then if it doesn't work, you have to decide, will I adjust or will I blindly go ahead making, I don't know.
The same old, same old. Right.
Or will I change? You will see, hopefully, more of our stuff in America, but it'll be ours, the way that we control it. And look, I've had a number of arrangements over the years. Some have been good, some have been less than good. In the end, it doesn't matter. The complexity of the contract doesn't matter a damn. You've got to like the guy. You've got to like the person. I've never been involved in any litigation related to any contract. I either like the guy, and when I had to ring up the president of this particular company in the States or go and see him and say, look, I don't want to do it anymore, we didn't need anybody else, just he and I. I didn't want to do it anymore, and that was it.
Right.
You could send me to jail and hit me over the head. I wasn't going to do it.
Right.
That's it.
Period.
End of story. But if I say I am going to do it, then I give you 1,000%.
So what to you is art?
Well, you can find it in all kinds of ways. Obviously, it can be in film, it can be in food, it can be in wine, it can be in everything. But if you bring it down to painting, the bit that I do, I think there are certain paintings that have the great ability to give you pleasure over a long period of time. And for me personally, I look more for beauty rather than shock value. I think art should be about, beauty, basically.
The artists are leading the way for small business. We all need to pay attention, as none of us can compete with big business in the price-driven world of the ordinary. People don't just want swimwear today. They want Ken Doan's interpretation of sun, sand, water, and beauty. They want his world of color and bold strokes. People don't just want furniture for their home. They want images to gaze on that will take them to other worlds or make them smile or help them meditate or relax. This is what art does. It changes our mood. It's better than Prozac or wine, and those of us that have something we love looking at know what I'm talking about. Ken Doan's work is more important than ever. It is a metaphor for personal growth. It is a reminder that man does not live by bread alone. Better to have fewer televisions and more art for the improvement of our souls. And there's another lesson for all business owners. What can you do to bring your customers more joy, to shift their mood from negative to positive, to have a soulful impact? Figure that one out, and you'll be as happy as we found Ken Doan to be. Ken Doan has been having a love affair with the Japanese since the 60s. He began studying their designers on his first trip there in 1963. In some of his paintings, we see traditional haiku and the use of simplicity to convey the complex. For 10 years, Mr. Doan's art appeared on the cover of Japan's Hanako magazine, a weekly publication. So do you all know of this work in Japan? Mm-hmm. Oh, good, sure, yes. Sure. No wonder when these Japanese women came into the gallery at the Rocks in Sydney, they were in awe that they had the good fortune to meet the artist who has huge star power in their country. We could see these women thinking, if my friends could see me now, they'd never believe it. So please take my picture with the great painter, Ken Doan.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
So we did.
So cute.
It was a magical moment.
Look, it is so simple, isn't it? You simply have to make something that somebody else wants. That's all. and you have to price it properly, and you have to present it properly.
Right.
And like, I made 12 t-shirts, people liked them so much I made 12 more. Those 12 sold very quickly, so suddenly I thought, because that original t-shirt, it was a blue drawing on white. I then made this giant mental leap of thinking, let's do one white on blue. Suddenly there are two. It's a choice, it's a product range. So from having a choice of two to a number of shops and licensing arrangement, that's just, you know, that's like a game. But you have to make something that people want. The most expensive paintings are about half the price of what they'll be next year. For an artist to start his gallery is just saying, it's too inconvenient to wait till I'm dead for people to say, gee, it's really good, you know? And if you go to any gallery around the world, say it's a Monet exhibition or Van Gogh exhibition, there'll be some stuff that you can buy that's come from their work.
Stationery, whatever, yeah.
But what you can't do is call up Van Gogh and say, mate, they love these sunflower hats. You can't do that because he is what we in the trade call dead. So I just think it's interesting there's no reason why artists shouldn't make some money while they're alive. Good. I've been working on this picture for about 2 years, but sometimes the last 5 minutes is the key part. Art, in a sense, teaches you more about failure than success because you always want to go further. You always have the challenge, or I always feel anyway, I have the challenge of getting better. No one has a charmed life. There's always great hills and valleys, whatever you do, and there's always a fantastic amount of work. I mean, no matter how much talent you have, it's got to do with drive and a certain amount of God-given skill, but in the end, you have to really work hard at it. You don't start off at the top, do you? So therefore, you have to see it that it's at a path, and almost inevitably that path will involve a degree of failure. But you have to have the passion to do it. You have to want to do it. You have to wake up in the middle of the night and think, geez, I've got to get that better, or I've got to do that. It doesn't drop out of the sky. Yeah, I reckon that's about it. I'll have a look. I'm 62. I've got not enough time left to worry about anything else other than trying to be a good painter. That's all that interests me, really. And it's one of those things that maybe in your 60s or 70s is when you're at your most productive. Always got to clean your brushes. You have to get the best out of every day. If you live this day well, then the memories that you have of this day was great, and the expectation you have of the next day is great.
When you wake up in the morning, first thoughts?
Oh, I'm ready to go to work. When I woke up this morning, I said to Judy, I'm into the studio. I wanted to go and work. I wanted to work this morning. I want to work every day. I want to play every day.
So you're having fun?
Absolutely. That's how it should be.
What can you do to bring your customers more joy, to shift their mood from negative to positive, to have a soulful impact? Figure that one out, and you'll be as happy as we found Ken Doan to be.